Hi, it's Zach Eberson here, and before we get started, it's come to our attention that during the 7:30 hour, there was a misunderstanding that's been broadcasted on Reddit and other channels. I know what I said. People on air know what was said. Our production team know what was said. But I do apologize for any misunderstanding.
And I'm Alex Del Sordo, and we are now live here at Nathan Benderson Park. This is USRowing's race day coverage. Thursday, time trials are coming to an end. We got just a couple more hours to go, and it's heating up. Literally, figuratively, it's heating up. Times are coming in fast. Brooke, before we get started in some of the results, what's going on here? What's the mood? What's the temperature? The conditions? What's happening right now?
The big thing to notice about today is the wind is changing. We predicted that this morning, and we were right about that. The wind has changed. It's swirly. It's unpredictable, which makes it very difficult for crews to know what to expect going down the course. But that is kind of what you get at Nathan Benderson. So.
Yeah, it's a tough day. Now, we have a special guest here. This is John Fife, the head coach of St. Joe's Prep, coming off of a national championship. You won last year. Prep wins last year. You got fourth here in the time trial, real tight field. What's your perspective? What are you seeing out there in the men's eights today?
Saw a lot of fast crews. First, Greenwich definitely separated themselves out in the time trial. They posted a real quick time. I was actually on the bike following them and my groups. We were right with each other, and they did a really nice job, especially in the second half of the race when the wind really started to pick up. I think my crew didn't do as well the job as them. Another crew that stuck out, NorCal, from the West Coast. I think they petitioned in, and they did a really nice job today, coming in sixth.
There's about 13, 14 seconds between first and 12th. Was that a surprise to you coming in, that kind of gap between first and 12th?
I mean, it is a lot. I think things will shake themselves out tomorrow in the semis. And again, like we just said, the conditions are changing, and when you have 30 boats in a time trial, I'm not sure if they're really that spread out. I think the race is going to be tight tomorrow.
So last question for you, Coach. 24 hours away from the semifinals.
Yep.
It's going to be a tough race. You know it. Put me in the perspective of the coach's head. What are you going to say to the kids tonight and tomorrow as they prepare for this big race?
Yeah, I mean, we really haven't chatted a whole lot about today's race because we really focused on getting them out of here and back to the hotel. So we're kind of we'll debrief, but really for our crew, we're really young. It's 5 juniors and 4 sophomores. So we're going to be talking about how we're going to be better tomorrow. Because for us, every time they get in the boat, they get better. And so we made some errors today. We want to correct them tomorrow and make sure that we're in prime position to advance to the final.
So Brooke, let's pretend you're in the hotel with the prep Olympian here. What are you telling the boys? What are you going to tell them as they get ready for the semifinals?
I would tell them to get excited. Racing side by side next to other crews from the start is exciting, and I think that could fuel everyone in your boat, especially you're going neck and neck. You're not going against someone who's starting 20 seconds ahead of you or 20 seconds behind you. You see them right there the entire time.
I wish it was like tonight. Zach,
Unfortunately, we have to wait.
we have to wait.
Yeah.
Zach, we saw the results. Any surprise from you where you sit here with all we talked about all year with boat speed?
On the boys' side, I would say Saugatuck was really nice to see at number 5, and then St. Louis. We talked a lot about St. Louis, that on paper pulled some really fast times early in the season. They came in 8th. At 5:42, but there's a lot of them where that 5:41, 5:42 timeline.
Well, Coach Fife, we're excited to see you tomorrow in the semifinals. Good luck, and thanks for being here on the show today. I really appreciate it. Yeah, Prep, I love it. Well, there you have it. Our next guest coming in, continuing the theme of the eights, is going to be the head coach of Chicago Rowing Foundation, Mike Wallen. So let me ask you, Brooke, women's eights, this is exciting. 2 seconds separate first and 5th. If you're in that 5th place crew, what's going through your head as the athlete?
I mean, as an athlete in that 5th place crew, you know that you are only a couple strokes between 5th and 1st. It is a very close margin for 8s to have that many boats within 2 seconds. It is anyone's race tomorrow.
It's electric. Now we have the head coach here, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here. I've seen you guys a couple times.
yeah. Were you surprised? I watched the crew come down. Your girls were, in my opinion, understroking a lot. They were looked like 33, 34 strokes a minute. Are you happy, surprised, shocked with the second place position?
I don't think they were that low. I actually, I didn't even ask my coxswain what the stroke rating was, so maybe not my best coaching post-race talk. But I actually haven't seen, my phone's not working very well. I've been told we got second. I've seen it on somebody else's phone, but I haven't really looked through the results that thoroughly yet.
Boy, how casual is that? You're just, I haven't seen the results yet. Yeah. I mean, second place.
I mean, just from doing this for so many years now, there's been years where, we've gotten 7th or 8th in the time trial and medaled, and other years where we've gotten 3rd or 4th and, just got into the grands. So, I mean, it's definitely an indicator of where everyone's at, but I wouldn't read too much into it. I think when you line up, you'll know. I mean, the wind's pretty swirly. I think it's a rough indicator of where everyone stands.
So, we've been doing the junior rankings all season long. How do these junior rankings match up to what you saw today in the time trial?
I think they're pretty close. I mean, I think it's pretty spot on. I mean, the exact order isn't right, but like Brooke said, when you look at that kind of pack of 5, that was pretty tight at the front. I think you could see them change positions in a head-to-head race in a way that could make the rankings exactly right. It could make them slightly off, but I mean, that's what rankings are. They're a rough guess of where everyone stands.
And we had those 24 coaches around the country. We want to point that out. But Zach, how about you? Anything surprising, shocking coming out of that V8?
I mean, it was really cool to see Rye win, because in the other live coverages we talked about Marin, CRF, and Greenwich being the top 3 and then a buffer. So Rye comes out and wins the time trial. Then there is a pretty big gap. But then you have Moorestown from New Jersey that, would get beat up a little bit by Mount St. Joe's. They got 8th in the time trial. I'm sorry, 7th. And then SA, St. Andrew, coming in 10th. Hold the S. Hashtag hold the S, coming in 10th. And then congratulations to Philip Exeter coming in that 12th spot.
12th, yeah. So, Coach Wallen, like we asked with Coach Fife earlier, second place, a lot of the times you think like junior rowing gets in your head a little bit. Second place, the bullseye on your back. What are you telling your kids tonight and tomorrow as they're preparing for the semifinals?
Not much. You can't look ahead. We didn't talk about the semifinal or the final or who's ranked at all. I mean, it was just get top 12, because if you don't get top 12, your regatta's basically over. If you're one of the teams that's here to feels like they can win, right? You're not gonna feel that great about being in the C or D final. I would consider it over if we were in 13 or with the momentum we had coming in. So we did that. Tomorrow we're just going to think about top 3. We'd like to, win the semi. It looks like we'll have our hands full with some other fast crews. They'll have their handfuls with us as well. But yeah, top 3 advances. We want to get back in the grand final. You can't win the national championship if you don't make the grand final. So you shouldn't look past that.
I don't know the stat. You're going to tell me this. How many times has CRF been in the grand finals in a row?
If we get top 3 tomorrow, it'll be 8 years.
8 years in a row. That's an impressive feat for any coach. I mean, it's extremely challenging. We were talking about this earlier on the 9-peat with Wide Quad Cities. Like, we're talking about a decade of being at the top of your field. It's a very challenging thing.
And again, it's not like you're in professional football where it's mainly the whole core year after year. It's a new stock of girls.
Yes.
It's really hard to repeat, let alone be in the grand final 8 years in a row.
So, Brooke, have you, I'm assuming you watched some of these 8s races. How about the quality of rowing that you're seeing? I'm seeing in a deep field of quality rowing coming across. Have you taken a look at that?
Yes, absolutely. And I've seen it here, and I've seen it in my high school coaching that I've done this spring. And I'm like, some of these girls are coming down, and I'm looking at them and questioning if they're in high school. Like, the rowing is really good.
We were joking about the men's 8s could beat most of the colleges in this country. Same thing on the women's side.
Yeah,
most of these top 10, probably the top 10 women out there in the 8s could just stomp college crews these days.
Well, that's what's so special about this regatta, and I think you touched on it earlier too, is these are the Olympians. In a couple of years, these are your U.S. Olympians that we're looking at right now.
Well, Coach Wallen, thank you for being here. We're excited. What time is your semifinal tomorrow?
Not sure.
Not
Knew
sure.
that was coming.
Knew that was coming.
Find out at the meeting tonight.
You'll find out later with somebody else's phone, hopefully.
Yep.
Coach Wallen, thanks for being here, and we'll be watching you tomorrow on the live stream.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right,
Thanks.
see ya.
See ya.
Now, we have one more special guest before we get really into all of the other events.
Yeah.
And, this guy, Hojo Habibovic, and I almost destroyed that last name. I probably killed it.
Nailed
He's
it.
shaking his head.
Nailed it.
He is the lightweight coach of Wisconsin, and this guy has been around a long time. Tell me, what are you seeing in the women's eights this week? Just a couple hours ago.
Yeah. It's been impressive, to say the least. Like you guys touched on, those top 5 crews being within 2 seconds. I mean, that's striking distance. So it's anyone's race, really. Top to bottom. Like I feel like when I was in high school at youth nationals, there was always the dominant teams, and then it was like always a gap. I mean, it's 10 seconds. The top 10 teams are within 10 seconds, men and women. Like, that's tight. That's tight racing.
It is. And, early predictions, we thought the men's teams were going to be a lot tighter. And now, complete opposite. Flip that around, and now we're seeing 2 seconds between first and fifth on the women's side. Quality of rowing. I mean, you coach college all the time. We were just talking about it just a minute ago. Brooke's right. I'm seeing collegiate athletes out here. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like we just said, I think coaching has been developed more, and I think that's starting to show at the junior level. There's better athletes coming out of high school. As we know, with Brooke here, the ERG standards are dropping. 7 minutes out of high school is not as big of a deal anymore. Even on the guy side in college, 6 minutes, it's not a mark anymore. So it's the standards are getting faster, the quality of rowing is getting better, and I think that's going to keep trickling up, and it's going to help our national team, which is exciting. Just as long as the athletes, stay happy and healthy.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good point, staying happy and healthy. But let's talk about why you're here. So I've seen a lot of college coaches around here. Tell us, why are you here for these couple days?
To see the best athletes in the country. We're here to watch a lot of good rowing. We're here to talk to a lot of good kids. Everyone who's anyone is here. So it's a good chance for college coaches to scope out prospects, whether they're freshmen or seniors. We get to talk to junior coaches. We get to talk to athletes after racing. It's one of the best regattas to be at for recruiting purposes.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and it's exciting to see a lot of college coaches around here. Brooke, you've probably seen a dozen walking around here. Is that right?
Yeah, everyone's here. Everyone wants to see these top athletes, and everyone wants them on their team because they want to win the national championships at the collegiate level next year.
Zach, do you have a question here for Hojo before he leaves?
No, he made the switch from OKC up to Wisco. Positive switch?
Yeah, I love it. I love Madison. I love Wisconsin. Our team had a rough go for IRAs this year. We got hit with some injuries and COVID, but I'm really excited about our group next year. I'm really confident. I think we're going to be...
Well, the red W fits you really well.
Oh, yeah.
So if anyone tuning in here, he's here all weekend? Are you
all
here
weekend.
till Sunday?
I'm here till Monday.
You can't miss the hat. There he
Yeah.
is. Hojo, thanks for being here. We really appreciate being here.
Thank you,
man.
guys.
Now, here we get into some of these races.
Yeah.
Okay. Brooke, it is so challenging to row a quad. Now add 125 pounds in the back there.
I don't think it's 125 pounds,
And
Alex.
sometimes you're adding more. U15 men's coxed quad. NorCal 703, Vashon 712, Long Beach News 713. How on earth do you go about rowing a coxed quad? I've never done that before.
I've never done that either, but I will tell you this. I was on the beach when they were coming down, and we had Chris Chase on the 7:30 hour.
Yeah.
This is a new event. We're kind of waiting to see how it was going to be embraced. It was so loud on the beach.
Oh, cheering.
For the U15 coxed quad. I don't think that this regatta could have imagined it was going to be this effective.
Are you excited to watch these 14 or under 15, 16 athletes competing? How exciting is this, Brooke?
I'm so excited because once again, through my limited experience coaching, seeing these athletes develop and be able to race down the course from when you start and they've never rode before is really cool to see. And I think it's very empowering, especially for young athletes, straight or coxed boats, to get out there and be able to race themselves. No one's out there with them. There's no coaches. There is no one telling them what to do. It is all on themselves. And I think that's one of the great things about junior rowing.
I was talking to one parent. He came up to our tent, and he said that his son's here in the coxed quad, just so happened to be. And he said that his son played a bunch of sports and would always quit halfway through. And the dad said, pick a sport and stay with it. So he said, all right, let me try crew. He said this is his first time here. He's having a blast. And, you go to your local regattas or your flicks or what have you, but now you come to the show. You don't know what rowing really is until you come to something like this.
It's impressive. And then on the women's side, a little bit tighter field, 744, 748, 757, Maritime, Saugatuck, and Miami Beach. I think what's exciting about the U15 and U16 coxed quads is you're going to see teams that you don't normally see in the event, right? It's not, and just like Chris Chase of USRowing said earlier this morning, you don't have to buy a brand new boat. You can get some riggers, you can attach it onto a boat, and you can get rolling, right? And we talked about San Miguel this morning, and you see TriStar and Treasure and South Jersey, teams that you don't normally see at the top, competing and doing very well. On the U16 men's side, Camp Randall sneaking in, 641. Maritime, 643. River City, 644. Brooke, if you're the coach and you're talking to these crews, you're only a second or two apart in the coxed quad. It's not as aggressive as the 8. What's in your head? What are you going to do? What do you tell them to do tomorrow?
I mean, I would first start with the coxswain and tell the coxswain to be aggressive. They might not be as aggressive as the 8s, but that doesn't mean they can't try to be as aggressive. And I think with the coxswain, it takes something off of the rowers. Like the bow can just work on rowing. The bow doesn't have to give a call. The bow doesn't have to work on steering. They can just row. And I think that's something I love about having a coxswain is that it takes the smallest amount of pressure off of a rower that they can then focus on going as hard as they possibly can.
Gosh, that's a really good point. I mean, taking the pressure off of these young kids to be able to go after it and attack it. I didn't even think about that. You're right. They can just go ham and just pray they don't die at the 1,500 meter mark. You know what I mean? Now, on the women's side of the U16, California Yacht, 731, Maritime, 736, and Parati out of Texas, 741. I think they're fast times, but this is the first time we've ever seen these teams race before, right? In this category,
right? It's going to be a record, whoever wins. Exactly that's cool. Right. But the experience again, and these kids are, 14, 13. I think the gentleman, the son I was talking to, was 12, but then I had to try out to be 13. They're young. They are young. They are so green. They don't know how hard to push themselves. They don't know how to come back after a bad stroke. They might get it and drop 8 seconds in a 2K. You don't know with these kids. So can't believe I'm saying this. I'm really excited for the coxed U15 quad.
A question just popped in my head, Brooke. I wanted to ask you this. You're a 621 2K superhero. Most of the people here can't do that. And I was talking to some people about you, and I said, yeah, she goes 621, and jaws dropped to the floor. They had no idea. What was your first 2K ever? Let's go back to that. What was your first 2K ever?
I believe it was a 722.
Ugh. And then how fast did you go under 7?
I was under 7 within the year. I did a 722 before going to college. I pulled 1 2K. And then I believe within freshman year, by the end of freshman year, I was sub 7.
Absolutely incredible. I love that. And anyone tuning in and watching, it can be done. It can be done. You don't need to be a superhero to break 7 minutes. And we were talking about it with the standards. As Hojo was saying, the standards have dropped considerably. I'm watching these times, and I'm seeing these athletes out here. They don't look like normal rowers. I mean, they look like superstars.
Right, but you know what? This is the national championship.
I keep forgetting about that.
This is the best that this country has to offer. So you should look like that and be that fast.
Now, in the time that we started this, conditions have changed again. Okay, let's talk about that. Brooke, what are you feeling? What are you sensing on the course in just the last 10 minutes?
I mean, I'm feeling very strong gusts and then quickly followed by lulls.
Just dead air.
I don't know which direction it's going at this point, and like with the times, like you never know how accurate these times are. The wind is so inconsistent that someone could get an amazing gust for 200 meters during this race, and then someone else could get the gusts going in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
so I think that's where the side-by-side racing, you will really see what true speed is.
And a coxswain will be worth its weight in salt if you are a really, really good coxswain and you have the wherewithal to look at the blades and look at the stroke rate and look at the boats. If you can see the water up ahead and say, guys, girls, in 10, we're going to hit some wind.
Yeah.
That just gives you so much confidence as a rower when you're exhausted. Instead of getting hit in the back with a headwind, you know it's coming, and it just pins your ears back, and you have that much more confidence.
They're hard to come by. I mean, they're hard to come by. Great
it's an art.
It's an art. It is an art. Now, I want to talk about the U16 divisions. Not highly contested. There's just not a lot of entries in there. NorCal men 606, Prep 610, Marin 615, Deep Cruise. We always talk about the Deep Cruise teams with a lot of rowers. And then on the women's side, Rye 657, Marin 701, Greenwich 708. Speed, is it? Have you seen this a lot, Brooke? Like these deep teams. I mean, it feels like it's rare to see programs with 8, 9, 10 groups of kids. Is it a rare thing? I mean, are you seeing that a lot?
I think it is pretty rare because to get that many high school kids that want to row and they want to row on a big team, knowing that they could be in one of the bottom boats and they still want to show up and be there every single day, that takes a lot of heart.
That's a good point.
I think it takes time to learn how to be in any position on the team you might be with rowing. So yes, to have deep boats, deep teams, that's saying something for the program.
Now we're getting into the U17 category. So we're coming down to the end of the day. We're looking at men's singles. USRowing did a heck of a job in ranking these athletes because Aiden from Cambridge 720, Alex Henke 723, Ian O'Reilly 728. I think at this point we really kind of know the competition. If you're in that top 10 grouping or top 5 in those time trials, it's pretty safe to say you're going to be advancing into the semifinals.
That's right. And then being in the single too, we've talked about it before, just how intimate it is, how personalized it is. It's funny to hear the 4s and the 8s talk about other programs. These singles, they know each other on a first name basis.
Oh, they sure
talk
do.
about their competition. They're like, John's fast and Sally's fast. They know exactly who their competition is.
Brooke, let me ask you a question. I overhear chatter. Like we're talking to teams all day long, and some are saying, "Oh, we really gamed the system. We were trying to get 5th. We were trying to get 10th. We were trying to do this and that." Is that a real thing here? I mean, I feel like if you're going into this time trial, you're just supposed to go as hard as you possibly can.
I don't think it's possible to game the system at a regatta like this. There are so many crews, you don't know who's showing up, and especially for a time trial, that is not something that you want to game. That is not something you want to gamble because anything can happen in the time trial, and that could mean advancing or not advancing. Yeah,
it's just you and I heard it earlier today. Like they're like, oh, we were trying for this, we were trying for that.
I mean, there are tiers, right? There's teams that, unless something really bad goes wrong, they know they're probably going to make grand finals. Then there's teams that want to make grand finals. Then there's teams that are here for the experience.
Sure.
Right. But no, if you cannot, I think there were a couple crews out there that tried to get a little too cute, a little too comfortable, and they see themselves on the outside looking in.
Yeah, now on the women's U17 single, I just want to say a couple scores here, names. Olivia Petrie, 814, Annalise Hall, 816, Callista Wildren, 818. It's funny. I didn't think that the U17 events were going to be that tightly packed, but they are. They're very, very tight, very close.
And fast, Alex.
Fast, I know.
When was the last time you were in a single?
I don't even want to talk about it. It was a long time ago.
Okay, that's like, these times are 2:04 for 2K.
That's fast.
That's really
it's
fast.
1900 meters. It is a little bit different.
2:05, 2:06.
Fine.
Still.
It's fast.
Real fast.
I don't think you could do that.
Come on.
I mean, Olivia might have you beat.
Listen, I might.
Henry LePage has you
but
beat.
it would not look good out there. They'd have to get the safety boat.
Absolutely not. Now, Brooke, you've been here all day now. We're coming to a close. Do you want to get back in that boat? I mean, how much excitement does this bring you? Do you just want to get rowing again?
It does. It definitely makes me want to get back in the boat, and like seeing the competition, seeing everyone throw it down on the race course. I'm starting to get that itch again, which
Now-
I need it since I've been out for so long.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I want to take a couple minutes and talk about what's going on with your career. So you had the Olympics 10 months ago. We talked about that at Stotesbury. You've had an injury and you went through surgery. So what's happened the last 10 months?
It's been a roller coaster of events the past 10 months. Coming back from Tokyo, just trying to learn how to get back into normal life again outside of training, and then starting to train again. I happened to have an injury in September, so it didn't impact Tokyo, thank goodness. And tried to do rehab, PT, but it wasn't going in the direction I wanted to go. So around Christmas, I found out I needed surgery, underwent surgery in January, and I've been rehabbing since then. And it's been an adjustment. I'm learning a lot about myself and a lot about training and like my body, and so mental and physical things. And I've also learned new ways to find joy when I can't row. I coached at the Hun School of Princeton for a little bit, and that was a very humbling experience. I know how to row. I don't know how to put my blade in the water. That I'm working on learning how to put my blade in the water. But I would like to think I know how to row. But teaching girls who have never taken a stroke before was much harder than I ever expected it would be. And there were some days that I would get off the water and I would be like, did they even learn anything? Did I teach them anything today? And I would go through my mind. I was like, am I an imposter? Should I be here? So it's been a crazy.
It's a roller coaster.
It's been a
And
roller
in the
coaster.
meantime, you're just getting back into training. I know that you peeled away for a couple hours today.
Yeah.
A couple hours riding on a bike. I don't know how you do it, Brooke. So what did you do today as a workout?
Today I did 90 minutes on a stationary bike, followed by 30 minutes on the erg.
God.
That's all it is time, Alex.
Minutes on
Time
minutes
and
on
pressure.
minutes.
Minutes and minutes. But you know what's great is, Alex and I, we're great observers. We're people watchers.
I appreciate that.
Ex-lifeguards. We're great at watching people. It is awesome to see you talk to these girls that are going through injuries, that do need to step back a little. Am I doing too much or too little?
Yeah.
It's great that you're here as an ambassador and just someone that they feel comfortable with, that they can pick your brain.
Right.
And it's going to pay dividends for them.
And I'm so glad I took the opportunity to come down here. It's been amazing talking to all these athletes, and it's only day one.
It's a
if there's
marathon.
something I can help them with, I want to help them. I've been in their shoes, not necessarily rowing in high school, but everyone goes through similar things at some point with rowing, injury, overcoming mental battles, learning how to train, pushing yourselves and your teammates. I want to be able to share what I have learned, and hopefully it helps them.
Well, anyone out there, again, Brooke's here all weekend. She's here with us in the mornings and the afternoons. If you want to ask her a question, she's a humble person. Do not just go up to and ask her. Well, believe me. Now, I want to get a couple more races to go over. Men's U17 2X time trial. Marvin and Collins from Texas, 6:58. Roshman and McLaughlin, 7:02. Baker and Ronan, 7:04. Again, it's these really tight races in the U17, and it's the small boats, right? They're intimate, it's different, and these races are going to be really tight. I'm excited to see what happens in the semifinals.
I can't wait to see them line up, and then you add that X factor, which is the start. One bad stroke, especially in a double, you can be behind really quickly. How can you recover from that? How can you fight back? And I love team boats that, you have your characteristics, you have your traits. Maybe there is a boat that loves to fight back, loves to be from behind, and then make their move later on. So you really get to see this crew's personalities when they line up.
And that's all day tomorrow. We have a bunch more events, and unfortunately, we're running out of time on today's episode. So tomorrow, we're going to have to jump into some of those other U17 races, the 4s, the quads, the 8s, and the last race of the day is the inclusive double, the mixed youth double. That's at 4:55. So stay tuned to HereNow.com. Really, just watch these scores and see what's going on tomorrow. Top 12 in pretty much every category moves on to the A and B semifinals. Any last words, Brooke, as we close out Thursday's final episode?
Let's see. I would say leaving to the race course today and getting ready for tomorrow, every athlete here needs to make sure they get a good night's sleep. I am sure the adrenaline is pumping. Everyone is excited. Energy is high, but it's a long week. There's still many days of racing to come. And if you want to be racing at your full potential a couple days from now, you got to eat and sleep tonight.
That's easier said than done. How about you, Zach? Any last words as we end the day?
No, I would just say, the weather did cooperate. Besides that one cell that came through, there's been much worse weather than what we've seen today. So far, so good. Day one has been very productive and fast times.
Well, again, I'm Alex Del Sur with Rower's Choice, and this is US Rowing's Race Day coverage powered by Rower's Choice. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., I believe, 6:55 a.m. live, we will be here in the morning going over today's scores and what to look ahead at the semifinals. We'll have Man on the Beach all day long. You'll be able to find me down by the beach, as well as Brooke. I know you'll be out there all over the place. Zach at the Be Fresh Lounge. And then again at 4:55, 5 o'clock, we'll have race day coverage to end the day. Tune in tomorrow, US Rowing's Live.